The game has changed. What used to work in 2023, 2024 is no longer going to carry your business forward into 2025. Now, if you want to make this year the best year ever for your business, then this is exactly what you need to do. There's 100 million talking head experts out there on social media today, and all of them are giving advice on all things business and life and what have you. So just who am I and why should you even listen to me? Well, first off, you probably shouldn't. You shouldn't listen to any random stranger on the internet that you don't know. My job today is to give you the information so that you can listen to you and make the most informed decision that you can given the information at hand. And after over 12 years of online marketing and business experience, helping my clients generate more than $10 million in new attributable sales, and after having worked behind the scenes on many of your favorite influencers or gurus, helping them architect the very sales and marketing systems that you see popularized today. I've done it all and seen it all, which is why I'm sitting here telling you today that it's all bullshit. So at the beginning of it all, you had three core companies, and these guys sort of pioneered the way for high ticket coaching and services and whatnot to really become more mainstream in the general marketplace. And so at this time, this would have been around 2012, 2013, and then, for a period after there. But during this time, I remember running lead gen ads, and we were paying $1, less than $1 a lead for a $30,000 program. Today, that same programmatic advertising, Facebook ads, would cost you upwards of $30 to $40 a lead. Now keep in mind, these ads we weren't running to something like a free lead magnet, a free book, a giveaway. These were $1 leads on get information about our product. And so those same leads would easily cost $30 to $40, which at the time, if you're spending $1 on a $30,000 program to get somebody to raise your hand and say, hey, I'm interested, you have a huge amount of leeway. I can't figure out this math in my head, but you essentially you can close 1 in 30,000 and you're still breaking even minus your cost of delivery and whatnot. So it's probably 1 in 15,000. But 1 in 15,000 people who raise their hand and say, hey, I need help with this thing, right? You're just absolutely swimming in money at this point. Now, what happened was that these guys flooded the market. And they did so because they were making so much money that if you put $1 in and got $100 back out, how much money are you going to put in? As much as you possibly can. You're going to be spending $10,000, $100,000, $1 million a month, which is exactly what these guys did. And so they took the market and they brought it into sort of the 20th, 21st century at this point. And this was something that hadn't really been done before. Most of it had been done up until this point. It was done through affiliates and JVs on things like Warrior Forum, JV Zoo, things like that, which was sort of like at the time deemed like the dirty side of the internet. And it's a little bit more commonplace now. But what these guys did was they pushed a lot of awareness and a lot of people through their programs. And so as a byproduct of just running the business, there was a lot of people who came in who had businesses already. Health coaches, fitness coaches, you had other marketing coaches and whatnot. And what happened was that the systems didn't work the best for their own businesses. So instead, many of them actually flipped over to selling this type of service. They started selling online content creation and online marketing. And what that caused a huge influx into the market. And so now you have a ton of people who aren't necessarily qualified. They just took a course and learned how to do some basic things, now selling it to the rest of the market. And then that went on for a few years. People still were buying and selling courses and buying and selling online coaching and whatnot. And so what ended up happening just a couple of years back now is that you're probably familiar with the book $100 Million Offers. And when Alex Hormozi dropped that book, I genuinely believe that he had the best intentions behind it, except for what happened was you took this pocket of people who were still having trouble selling, and then you had a brand new pocket of people coming in thinking, wow, there's people making a lot of money on these things. Again, because you have the awareness. Every time you have a new business enter the space and start pushing money behind ads constantly, you're generating more and more awareness. People tend to replicate what they see. So here you have all of this group of people that now learned how to make good offers, not necessarily deliver on them, which was the problem. So while Alex had every best intention on putting forth something to help business owners scale a business that would help the world, there was a lot of people, in fact, most people took this to the extreme, and instead of actually building a reputable business, they just started making guarantees. And you've likely seen those all around the internet. We'll get you $100K a month or you don't pay, and we'll work for you for free until you do. And so you see these hyperbolic sky-high claims, you'll drop 50 pounds overnight or you don't pay. And like, these aren't realistic at all. And so what happened is that a lot of people took them up on these offers and then they didn't get the result. And so they got ripped off because they didn't get the result, and then people didn't refund them their money like they said they would. Because there's a little asterisk in their contract stating that they had to jump through several hoops in order to actually get that refund, but it wasn't properly disclosed. And so what happened was you just had a ton of people burn a lot of trust in the market. To make matters worse, you then had AI enter the field. And the problem with AI was that a few years back, when you kind of head back over here, as a lot of people don't know, but AI has been around for quite a long time. There used to be a tool that I used to use to sort of help me conceptualize stuff, and I tried it for a couple of months, and honestly, the thing could barely string 3 coherent sentences together, let alone structure a full-blown sales argument. And so nowadays, this thing is about as powerful as a junior copywriter. And so to realize the full impact of what this does to the marketplace was it flooded the market now with talking head experts and just a plethora of written content. And so now you have this compounding effect till you reach this saturation point where your customers just no longer know who to trust, what to pay attention to. They've all been burned before. And so you have this age-old saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Well, these customers that are in the marketplace now have been fooled more times than they can count. And so they just don't trust anybody. The current trust economy is at its lowest point in the last 100 years, meaning that if your customers don't know you, they don't know who you are, they don't know what you do, they're never going to buy from you. And so these old methods that honestly I helped architect, they're no longer working like they used to. And so if you're running any of them, your competition is likely running them, you're going to see things like increased cost per acquisition. You're going to see no-show rates go through the roof. You're going to see your cost per booked call double and triple. And it really all comes down to the fact that your customers are aware of this sales process. And if you think about this for just 1 second, if you've ever sat through a timeshare presentation, when those first came out, they could offer attendees something as simple as a free dinner or free lunch. And people would willingly sign up and show up. And that went on for a period. Nowadays, they have to offer you a full, all-inclusive paid vacation to Mexico or the Bahamas or a cruise or some type of very, very heavy incentivization just to get you to stay and show up in the room. Why? Because everybody knows as soon as you get there, you're going to be locked in a room for 2 days and you're going to be sold relentlessly on the product. Now, your customers do the same thing. Every time somebody opts in for a free community, a free email, any of those things, they're aware that they're now in the sales process. And these sales funnels work as long as your prospect isn't aware that they're being sold to, because nobody likes being sold to. People like to make the decisions to themselves. Think about Apple. When they release a new phone, they're not really out there telling you how great it is. Most people sell themselves on, I need the new iPhone, right? I've got the iPhone 15 Pro Max. The 16 isn't much better. Is there any logical reason for me to upgrade? Not really. Yet I want to, against that logic, because I've already convinced myself that I want it. That's the very nature of desire. They don't have to sell me anything. They just have to release the product because I have the belief that it's going to be good, that it's going to be better than my current model. And that all comes from me. Your prospects are the same thing. If they believe that they're going to be sold to, they're going to reject your sales process and they're not going to enter it in the first place. Moving on, there's 3 things that you must cover in order for the prospect to buy anything that you're going to sell. And I call these the 3 pillars of belief. Now, the first one is they need to believe in you. They need to believe in you as a person or as a company, that you're not going to rip them off, that you're a trustworthy person, right? If you're a coach, even more so, they have to believe in your ability to actually coach. They have to like you. right? So there's all of these things that have to transpire in order for them to believe in you as a person or as a business. The next is your process. Now this is your process for getting them results. It could be your product. It's whatever your unique mechanism, your unique way of getting them the results that the competition does not offer. If they believe in you, you could be a great guy, but they don't trust the way that you do things, so they're probably not going to hire you. And the next one, which is arguably the most important, is they need to believe in themselves. And most of your competition is completely ignoring this. In fact, most people online selling anything completely ignore this part. And this isn't as simple as just adding extra proof, making bigger claims, adding testimonials and case studies and all those things that most people think that's what it comes down to. It's not. I'm going to cover exactly what that looks like in the next section when I show you what we're doing to architect this process. But this is not as simple as just saying lose 10 pounds in 10 days or your money back, which is exactly what the market's been doing for years, and now it's no longer working. So we have to do something different. So moving on into the solution, here's how we architect our trust ecosystem. The first thing you need to understand is that your customers have a smaller attention span than a goldfish. Yet, it isn't just their attention span that's shorter, it's that they're becoming more selective. So it's hard to argue that they're just have a shorter attention span because of things like Reels and Shorts and TikToks and things like that, or if they're just getting better at filtering out all the bullshit, because there's so many people trying to sell them stuff and compete for their attention online. Because these same people will sit and binge a Netflix season over a weekend or over a period of 2 weeks with an immense amount of focus. And so if they can sit there and watch, their 7th rerun of Friends or Supernatural, and so our job now is to reenact this similar type of process where instead of entertaining them, we are now giving them the materials for them to binge so that they can get the result that they want. There's a lot of moving pieces to this, but I'm going to show you that right here. The first step is that we're going to start using the tools that they're using themselves every single day. So the first thing to think about here is that if you sell any kind of online coaching, consulting, or high ticket offer, when was the last time that you were on somebody's website looking at coaching packages? I've been in this game for 12 years. I don't know if I ever have. Now, let me put it this way. When was the last time you were on a social media platform like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, email, Spotify, and you were engaging with content that your favorite creator, your business coach or what have you, has put out for you to consume so that you can get more information and solve the problem that you're here today looking to solve? I mean, you're sitting here watching this, so right now. So in short, the moral is we go where our customer already is. This is why a funnel is absolutely useless, because we're taking them off platform down some arbitrary, frictionful process where, honestly, friction equals drop-off. Drop-off equals sad sales volume. Less friction means buy-in. Buy-in equals happy sales volume. So here's how we do this. The first thing we want to do is we're going to focus on Instagram as a platform. And the reason is because Instagram is a very, very cheap method of getting in front of the right people, getting their eyeballs, and getting brand awareness and attention on our offer. And so to really drive that point home, for those of you who follow acquisition.com and Alex Hormozi, Alex put out a recent video where he was saying 48% of acquisitions traffic comes from Instagram. Now these guys drive billions of impressions a year, and 48% of their traffic came from Instagram. Out of all the channels that they were doing, LinkedIn, TikTok, Spotify, YouTube, email, you name it, 48%. Now, if that doesn't tell you that Instagram's an outlier and a arbitrage for attention right now, I don't know what will. The first thing that we're gonna do here is we use Instagram as a platform to get eyeballs. Now, there's 3 ways that we can do this. We can have our regular organic, and we can have paid, and then we have your existing followers. And so what happens here is every time you post a new reel, new story, new whatever, you are going to organically reach some new people. Those people are going to come to your profile. On that same leg, we can take our best performing organic posts. The other thing we can do is we can run very carefully crafted paid ads to call out and get our ideal person to raise their hand And then when we do that, we're going to drive them also to our Instagram profile. And when they hit our Instagram profile, now we're starting to create that watch activity. This is supposed to be an eyeball. And so once they start binge watching our content, that's when they start to have a little bit of buy-in around us, which is that first pillar. They're buying in as us as a person. And so they're going to continue to do that by becoming a follower, continually engaging with our content and whatnot. We then also use Instagram to push to our longer form content. And the reason we do that is because Instagram does have a limit in terms of how much content that your users can actually experience. There's only so much of a relationship that you can build with somebody with 60-second reels. You can see them every day and you start to warm up to them, but the best thing you want to do is you want to start building that bit of brand awareness and then send them over to your longer form content like YouTube and Spotify. Where here, what we're going to do is we're going to create in-depth tutorials and various videos so that we can help them now overcome the belief that our mechanism, our unique process and way of doing things is going to work for them. And when we do that, that's how they start to build pillar number 3, which is the belief in themselves. And so one tip that I like to do is I actually like to take long form content and repurpose it into, like a podcast or something, because some people will listen to it while they're driving, some people will sit here and watch this like you are right now, but different people consume in different ways. And so our goal is to take the high quality traffic that Instagram sends and then push it over into our longer form content, which creates buy-in between us, between our process, and then for themselves. Now, from here, what we do is we collect their email from both Instagram and YouTube. And once we have them on our email list, we can continue pushing them back to our longer form content, thus creating a very quick feedback loop in terms of you're on our email list. Now we don't have to wait for the algorithm to continue pushing our content out to them. They're going to get notified every time that we push out a new video, new whatever. And so we're not living by the hands of the algorithm gods. We're sort of crafting and architecting our own system here for taking people from step number 1, which is organic and paid. They're coming into our Instagram, they're starting to live through that brand experience, and then they're going to hit our longer form content. Our longer form content will also bring in people organically as well, but we're not looking to live by the hand of the algorithm gods. We're looking to be the master of our own destiny, if you will. This is where the paid ads are really helpful. If you are able to drive 100 to 200 people a day, which you're looking at less than 10 cents a click on average, right? That's $10 to $20 a day. A portion of them are always going to follow you. From those followers, a portion will always binge watch. But at $10 to $20 a day, you're looking at a very, very low ad spend in order to control the flow of this entire process. And the nice thing that I find that works so well about this is we're not jamming anything down anybody's throats. We're simply saying, hey, if you have this problem, here's how I solved it. Here's how you can solve it too, because this worked for me. Hopefully it will work for you. If you want more information on solving this problem, you should probably go here and follow us because I share it routinely. And so now we've got somebody who's raised their hand. They have the problem that we solve. They like the value that we're providing because they came to our profile and they started engaging with us and they followed us. And then our job is to push out more in-depth information about solving that problem. And so when we do that, we're effectively covering pillar 1 and 2 right off the hop. We're communicating the value of the process that we have. We're communicating that we are somebody of value who can do what we say we can do. And then once you nail those first 2 down, as long as they continue to engage with the process, they'll start to build the belief that I'm seeing other people win. I'm seeing that this could probably work for me as long as we're communicating it in a very simple way. And then we have constant touch points and feedback from our email list. So our email list pushing it back to our long form pushes into our short form pushes our long form. It becomes a whole ecosystem all working harmoniously together. Now, you might be wondering, how do we get them on our email list? Well, it's simple. As we're starting to put out our content on Instagram and on YouTube, we give away free resources to help them take that first or next step in the process. This could be something like a free template, a free guide, could even be a free community if that's sort of in your neck of the woods. But whatever it is, it needs to start solving that next step in the process so that we're giving them something of value, something to help them speed up the process for themselves, and thus putting them into motion, solving the problem. Because here's the thing, guys, and this is what not a lot of people will tell you. If they were capable of solving the problem on their own, they would have done it already. And if they can solve it on their own, then they don't really need you. And so it's not really ethical for us to enroll them and push them as a client and gate all that information. So your business needs to live and die on the fact that you are helping them do something that they can't do on their own. Because if they could do it on their own, they would have done it already. And so our job is to help put them in motion, because what's going to happen is when they get into motion, they're going to realize that it's not necessarily as easy as they think. And the reason that that's important is because that's when they're going to hit their friction point. They're going to see that it's possible. They're just going to see that it's a little bit tougher than they thought, which is usually what happens with most people. This is where we can come in now and effectively just make them an offer. And it doesn't have to be any more complex than saying, hey, you have this problem, here's what we're doing right now, do you want more information on it? And so this is where marketing has really gone off the rails in the last few years. And so without getting into too far in depth, there's these things called stages of awareness. And you may have heard this term tossed out before, but it effectively means that there's supposed to be 5. I clarify it as 6 because I feel like there's one that's sort of missed. Now, at the bottom, you have most aware. These are typically people who have bought from you. Then you have people who are product aware. And product aware are people who have visited your site, they've attended a presentation of some point, they know exactly what it is that you sell and what it can do for them. Now, how you move basically people who are product aware to most aware, this is where things like discounts work. Now, I don't recommend discounting your core program. However, you can bundle, you can offer bonuses and incentives and things like that. And so some kind of bundle or discount typically works to get people from product aware into most aware. Then you have people who are solution aware. And these are people who are aware of what you do as a whole. So if you're a fitness coach, they're aware of fitness coaching, right? Product aware would be aware of your exact product. Now, solution aware people, and product aware, this is where 90% of advertisers stick almost all of their budget. And the problem with that is that this only makes up 3 to 5% of people on a good day. So that means they're leaving 97 to 95% of the market completely wide open. And I often get asked, how is it that I'm able to get, an 11x, a 22x, a 50 to 1x return on the ads that I'm spending? Well, I can tell you, it's by not focusing exclusively on these 2 categories. So the remaining categories are, you have problem, and then for me, I like to call it symptom. And the reason why I separate these 2 is because these are not the same people. If you look at problem people, this means that they're aware of the problem. It means they know what the problem is. They're just not aware of what the solution is for it yet. Say, take somebody who's overweight, right? They know that they're overweight. They just don't necessarily know that fitness coaching is the right solution for them yet. But they know they have the problem. Now, if you don't know that you're overweight, but you know that it hurts going up the stairs, that means you're symptom aware, not problem aware. And so there's another one before this, which is just completely unaware, but I'm not going to touch that because it's completely irrelevant to our conversation here. So when you're focused on these 2 segments here, this is 60 to 70% of the market. Not only is this a much, 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 much wider pool of people, it is far less competitive because you don't have this 90% of spend going into these categories here. You have maybe 10% going into a much wider pool. Now, I don't know about you, but say you were fishing. Would you rather fish in a wide open ocean, battling tuna fishing boats and deep sea fishermen with crews and crews of people, which that's what these guys are. These guys are businesses that are spending tens of millions of dollars a month. You're looking at Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, big businesses with huge sales team who can afford to go negative for months. This is why this type of marketing doesn't work. So you're competing with them out in the cold open ocean and expecting to get a return on it. And so this is what the majority of the market is seeing, because this is where the majority of the budget and awareness is going. Now, when you target these guys, what you're doing is you're coming over here and you're creating your own pond in your own backyard that nobody can fish from. So what would you rather do? Would you rather take baby fish, which these are the baby fish because they're not ready to buy yet, but they will be in 30, 60, 90 days, maybe as long as up to a year, but they're substantially cheaper. And so when you take them, you deposit them in your little pool here, you continue to cultivate and grow them using this framework right here. And then when they're ready to be fished, that's where we come up here and we make them a simple offer. Now, they don't have a ton of competition here to be competing with. They already know, like, and trust you. They already have the belief in the 3 pillars around you, not anybody else. They don't even know these guys. So they've been following and buying into you. And so this right here, guys, is how you achieve a very standard 10-to-1 return on your ad spend. It takes a little bit longer in order to get to that point. But here's the thing. You take a look at this, you have, let's say month 1, right? You deposit 5 fish. So let's say fish, okay, and then we have buyers. So month 1, month 2, month 3, and we're just gonna go month 4 over here. That was terrible. Still getting used to this whole pen thing. Yeah, month 4, okay? So you deposit 5 fish into your pond in month 1, okay? Let's say maybe 1 buys. Cool, well, you made a sale. So let's say you have a $5,000 program. Awesome, you made $5 grand. Okay, month 2, you start to put a little bit money back in. Let's say you put 7 in. But now instead of 1, you converted 2, right? 1 from month 1, 1 from month 2. So now you've got 2. Now you made 10K. Okay, not bad. Doubled your profit in 1 month. Now we go to month 3. You put in 10, except for now you're in the 3rd month. So you've got 12 plus 10, 22 fish in your pond. And so you convert 5 because you've got all these other ones that are now have grown and ready to move forward with you. And so now you make 25K. Okay, month 4, you keep reinvesting. So you stick, let's say 15, right? Except for now you've got the 10, the 7, and the 5, minus the ones that have already bought, okay? But let's say you convert 8, right? And so now you've got 40K. And the reason I show this to illustrate is because you're continually adding new people in. As long as you don't stop adding fish to your pond, that pond's just gonna continue to grow. And you're gonna continue to be able to fish from it in a very sustainable manner moving forward, because you're not continually debiting your list. You see these other creators out here who are constantly pitching, constantly promoting, constantly get in before the timer ends, blah, 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 blah. And what ends up happening is they burn the trust with their list. They lose the trust in the pillar of you. And so then they're never gonna move forward because they think all you're trying to do is make sales. But when you can architect this process properly and you can get them to believe in you, in themselves, in the process, and simply just make them an offer, they will buy when the time is right. And what happens is because you start to build so many fish up in the pool that month over month, you have multiple people coming to you saying, hey, I'm ready to move forward now. I'm ready to move forward now. I'm ready to move forward now. And once you do all of this, this is the important part. You don't need a super complex multi-step sales funnel. Okay, you don't even need super flashy content. You can simply guide them through this journey, and then at the end of it, you say, hey, this is how we help. Do you want help? And they're gonna say yes, because they already believe that you can help them. Now, all of this is designed to install belief in a very short process, but what it does is it creates poor expectations. And this is where your customers feel ripped off, not to mention that they just don't believe it anymore. But once you are able to take them through this process, what happens instead is that your customers and your sales practically make themselves. And it's a win-win for everybody around. The customers know exactly what they're getting themselves into because you have been educating them from here, here, and here. And that's all there is to it. So if you want my help in terms of deploying this system for you, walking you through exactly what to post organically, what to run for paid ads, how to set it up, how to talk to your followers, how to structure a high converting YouTube video, how to upload to Spotify, when and how often and what kind of emails to send to your audience, how to structure a high quality scalable offer, then go to my Instagram, DM me at WesBriggsOfficial, and we'll simply have a chat. I hope you got value out of this video, and we'll see you on the next one.